Good morning. We're going to try one more time. Good morning. Yeah, okay, there we go. It's Women in Power. We got to, get with the program. A little bit late. It's 10:05. We're going to start now. My name is Kay Lord Fallon. I'm a legislative fellow with Senator Warner's office. And on behalf of the senator and our co-host, we're really delighted to have you all here for today. Because we're starting a little late, we're going to jump right into it. I am delighted to present hand off the program for Women in Power, the Butterfly Effect, and a new definition of power to Cadie Hopkins, Megan Jaffer, Anjuma Goswami Karkera, and Stephanie LaRue. And with that, ladies.
Hey. So how about that first session? That was amazing, wasn't it? I was really shocked how much I laughed in that panel. So first and foremost, we want to thank George Mason and Senator Warner's staff that brought us and asked us here today. So Kay, thank you for introducing us. Lou and Ashley, if you're in this room, we thank you so much for offering us this panel. So why are we here and who are we? Like, who are these ladies on this panel? So my name is Megan, this is Cadie. We are co-founders of a small woman-owned media company called Iron Butterfly Media. Oh, thank you. And so much like we were talking about in that first session about starting something new, Cadie and I came from the national security space, the intelligence community. And about 5 years ago, we wanted to start something new in a totally new field. So we started a podcast where we wanted to share stories about women in the intelligence community. And two of our guests on our podcast are sitting on this panel with me right now. We call them our Iron Butterflies. And so we started this company and we started a podcast. And then 2 years later, shocking, we wanted to start something new again. So we decided we wanted to take some of those stories that we had on the podcast and make a documentary. And so we have produced and directed the first feature film documentary about women spies. And thank you. So two of those women in the documentary are here today. Stephanie is one of them, and Anjuma is sitting in the first seat. Or not Anjuma, Chitra. Sorry. Raise your hand, Chitra.
This is Power Panel, Chitra.
I
Get that hand up there.
Yeah. Oh, they want to see you, Chitra.
A spin. Do a little spin.
They want to see you.
Yes. Yeah.
So why we're here today and on this panel is one of the themes of this movie, not only following these women and their stories, they are the most powerful women you have never heard of, is redefining power and what that means, especially in this day and age. And so you are going to see a short clip. Actually, it's the trailer for the movie at the end. But we are going to be talking about this, about redefining power. Oh my gosh, we have another Iron Butterfly. Tasha. Okay, so sorry, I'm getting excited. So we're going to do a little exercise real quick. So I want you guys to take 3 to 5 seconds right now and think about a person, could be man or woman, that you think is powerful. So 3 to 5 seconds, someone you think is powerful.
Don't yell them out.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I want you to raise your hand if that person you thought of represents a negative version of power. So raise your hand if that person was a negative version of what you define as power. And how many of you thought about a positive version of power? Wow. Hey, that's amazing. That is not what I thought.
That's not what I expected either.
So,
hanging on by a thread.
That's why we're all here.
Got a lot of heroes in the audience. Yes. So I think we're going to start with a fun question, which is, if you were to think about a fictional character that embodies maybe that villain version, that negative connotation of power versus more of a hero, what would you say? Who pops in your head?
I will go first because I think mine is strange. So my favorite villain of all time is Jaws, from the shark.
Duh.
Oh, that's weird. But the reason I like
Scary as hell.
it is scary. But I think what's important too about Jaws, and I think it ties to kind of my favorite hero too, is Jaws. The shark was incredibly intelligent, but also relentless and calculating. Right, like that shark let them harpoon him so he could drag him in deeper water and then have his time with them. Right, so like I think when I think of power, I think like he was intelligent, but he was also relentless and calculating. So I don't know if that's a good villain for the purposes of this conversation. But
Mine is even stranger.
Oh, good.
So the first thing that popped into my mind was kryptonite.
Oh.
Because it's like this thing that you don't necessarily look at independently as being of evil or negative power, but when used, it's, you know, it can kill you. So the first thing that popped into mind was kryptonite.
Ooh, I like that.
What about you?
So I think of Voldemort. Where are all my Harry Potter girlies at? Okay, I see some hands. Thank you. I'm not alone in that. I think the reason I think of Voldemort is kind of hopefully self-explanatory, but I think Voldemort he basically built this whole caste system, right? That's based on ability, that's based on effectively like magical race. Like, are you a wizard or are you a muggle, right? And I think what's so interesting about that is that he doesn't have anyone, that's true of race and capability, but also true of belief, right? He doesn't have anybody like coming into his lair saying like, hey, Tom, maybe that's a bad idea, right? Like he's not like interested in other perspectives. And then I think what's also interesting about Voldemort is that it's like all about him. Like it's not like there's any vision and or purpose that he's working towards other than self-preservation and like keeping himself alive.
Wow, these are all different, and mine's different too. So mine popped in my head when Katie told me she was going to ask this question was Amanda Priestley from Devil Wears Prada. And partly because they're coming out with Devil Wears Prada too, and the trailer is coming out.
With her heel, like her
With her
Jimmy
heels,
heels,
yeah. And the reason I picked her is because it is an example of power over. So she always had power over her staff, right? Like she was at the top and there was no equal footing with her, right? It was, I'm at the top and you're going to
serve me,
basically. And so I thought that she was a really good, I mean, it's not good, but a good representation for this purpose of power and kind of the way we see power on a day-to-day basis, like in our jobs and in our society, is this idea of like a power over. And, you know, that's what we need to change. Definitely. All right. So I was thinking then that we could talk about kind of switching that, right? So instead of thinking about this, so if
all the people that everyone in the audience was thinking.
all the positivity in the audience. So I was wondering if the women on the panel could think about someone that you look at and say, wow, that is a powerful woman. And then tell us why.
I'll tell you who I thought was powerful when I was young.
Okay.
And now I don't know if I still view it that way, because as you grow and as you learn more, your vision of things changes. But for the longest time, I thought Queen Elizabeth was incredibly powerful, and her power was admirable because it wasn't loud. In fact, it was very quiet. She didn't present in a particular way. She was, in her little purse, her little shoes, her little, like everything was so.
There always
soft.
was a little purse,
right? She always had everything was so soft, but yet she exuded so much power. And as I got older, I don't know if her power was positive or negative, which is really interesting. Which I think is also interesting about kryptonite, by the way, because kryptonite actually powered the ship that got Superman. So I don't know if it still resonates, but I still view her as incredibly powerful. And I appreciate the concept that quiet silence is much more powerful than loud noises.
Yeah, I think that's for sure. The way I look at her is it's not an in-your-face power.
Right.
It's not a loud power. It's kind of like
It's
behind.
presence. She just
It's
had the
presence,
presence
yeah.
of like, you want to hear what I have to say. I carry and the other part of it is I carry my authority with a sense of responsibility, which I find incredibly powerful. I think maybe that also resonates with those of us who experience the national security environment. Our sense of authority or responsibility supersedes our person.
Yeah.
She also wasn't like anyone else. She really, she kind of was her own.
Yeah.
She belonged to herself.
I like that about her.
Good one. Good. Oh, you have a hand. Awesome.
Very
Thanks for
cool.
sharing. Good, good. We are going to, at the end, we are going to have time for questions and feedback. So please know that is coming. That is coming. I'll give you mine. So Michelle Obama. Huh?
Yeah.
I think to be the first of, we have surrounded ourselves with women in our field that were the first of something. They were the first Latina, the first African American, the first woman, the first engineer, and I think she represents so many firsts, and she did it with grace and power at the same time. And it's interesting because I've been watching a lot of her interviews now because she has this new book coming out about her, the clothes that she wore. And the clothes itself, the ones that she chose to make statements, to have power. And to, if you really think about her, and, her husband should have gotten like all of the glory, right? He's the first African American president in our nation's history, and he is a force. We all agree with that. But she was equally a force, if not more, and especially now. And so I don't know. I just feel like when I think about a positive, if I don't have a little girl, I have a 16-year-old boy, and he sees powerful women in our family, not only with me, but my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my mom, my sister. But if I had a little girl, I would want her to see Michelle Obama as like a positive image of power. Love that. Yeah.
I think mine is really problematic, and a little bit,
We woke up on the same side of the bed.
and a little self-serving. So I'm going to say myself.
Oh,
And this is
I love it.
so. I think, and I admire and respect so much women who have the capacity and the ability to have that quiet power to take on all of the world's nonsense and then not give that shit back. I'm also sorry for cursing. I have so much respect for those women. I worked for the former director of national intelligence for Hurricane, and the things that I saw that woman accept and deal with on a daily basis from all manner of people from all across the world and different, values. She took that and she swallowed it, and she always got the job done. She never gave back the nonsense that she got. I am not that woman, right? I'm not that woman. Not that woman, and I have not yet mastered, and I don't think that I want to master the ability to take that on and not give it back, because I think for far too often, in particular, women of color have been taught that the only way to be powerful, or the most powerful way to be powerful, is to grin and bear and put your head down and keep it moving. And that might be true, because when we think of women powerful women, that's typically what we praise women for. She's so powerful because she can take so much shit. I don't want to be her. Like, I don't. I want to be powerful because I gave it back. I'm not ignorant. I'm not rude. I am educated. I am qualified. I'm competent. But if you bring that to me, if you go low, I'm not going to go high. I love Michelle. You go low, I'm going low. That, especially now. Especially now. And listen, I want to make it clear. I am a professional. I have worked at the top of all kinds of government. Like, listen, I can do a good job and I can do my job well. But you are going to receive from me what you give to me. And so when I think of power, I think of a woman who's not afraid to stand in that power, whatever that means for her, whether it's quiet, whether it's loud. I think of, and that's kind of with myself, like I am one of those people who has suffered. My career has suffered, right? I think a lot of us in this space, if there are any federal employees in this space, if there's anybody who worked in diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, if you cared about anyone else in your life ever, or at work, you might be out of a job, right? I find myself in that position right now. For those of you who are there, I feel you, right? And so I will tell you, for me, in my entire career, it was more important to be hated for saying the things that I believed in than to pretend to be blind to all of the things that I saw every day. While I do regret that nobody says, I like myself, like, I'm going to do that today because I do believe in what I did and what I said and how I continue to move in this space. And I would want every single one of you, when you think of a powerful woman, I want you to be the woman who thinks of yourself first. Mm-hmm.
I just want to say real quick that, first of all, she's looking for a job.
Oh,
so if
yeah.
anyone's hiring, she is. So please talk to her. She is an attorney by trade, and she obviously is fantastic.
But also, send me somewhere with someone who doesn't want to hear the truth.
When I consider myself a pretty powerful and competent woman, but when I just want to say, when I need that little extra I actually call these two women, and for different reasons. And I think it's so funny because I think most of the women I have around me, if I need someone just to like bounce something off of, and I know, like, I'll call Anjuma and I'll say, what do you think about this? But if I need my ride or die and I need to get hyped up, it's this one right here.
Hyped up.
Yeah. I did see a hand in the middle. I want to make sure you get a chance to, yeah, go ahead. Okay. I think thank you. Yeah,
all
thank you.
relate to that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
So I think I'm gonna. Oh, go. No, please go ahead.
Not today. Spanish is a saying that I think is so toxic, and in Spanish it's calladita te dejan bonita. Is there anybody? Okay, right. So that just means you're prettier when you're quiet. That's how I grew up, right? And so I think, but I was like 7 when I was like, that's not gonna. I'll be ugly as hell if that's gonna come.
Okay. So I think the woman I'll highlight is actually in the documentary. Her name is Carmen Medina. And funny enough, I actually came here as her +1 like almost a decade ago when she was a keynote, which is really special to look back at. And one of the things I love about Carmen, Julia, do you want to give a wave? I want to plug your podcast, Panda's Playing Cello, that she hosts with Carmen. So if you want to just get wacky and weird, go listen to that podcast. She talks about what made her, so she was the deputy director for analysis at CIA, which means she oversaw all of CIA's analysis, which is a wild job, right? And she talks about what made her different as an analyst, which she said a lot of analysts have an elite bias. So that means that they're looking at billionaires, they're looking at heads of state, they're looking at elites, and they're saying, those are the people that move the world, right? She actually thought the opposite. She thought the people that move the world are the average, ordinary, everyday citizen that goes to the streets, that marches, that shares in a community with others and shares that power. And those movements build, like we've seen that in history, particularly with the rise of the internet and all of the social movements of particularly the last decade, but the last 50 years, let's say. So I think that dovetails nicely into our next question, which is that, basically what she was describing is the power of the ordinary person, what we call the butterfly effect, right? Which is this idea that we can all make small steps, take small actions, and flap our wings in a way that will create a tornado on the other side of the world, right? Particularly when we're in community with other butterflies. So I guess my next question is, like, what is maybe an example or a time where you felt like you either shared power with someone or gave power to someone or sort of catalyzed a butterfly effect moment?
I believe that one of the powerful ways to share my power is to recognize all of the people who have helped me acquire that power, right? And so that's standing on the shoulders of giants, right? So one of the things that I like to do regularly is when I go to spaces and I'm asked to speak or whatever, I will always thank. There's usually one person in the room, I will invite that person there. And I will thank them for helping me get there in front of everyone. There's a young woman, her name is Lily. She was going to come today. When I entered on CIA, she was 2 or 3 grades above me, but she kind of locked her hooks into me and said, I see something in you, and I'm going to push you to do things, and I'm going to put you in places where I know. And I didn't know this, but for the next 10 years, she continued to push and push and push. I got to a point where I was promoted over her multiple times, but this woman still had my back over and over again. She still had my best interest in mind. And I had the opportunity one day when I was giving a keynote at the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, which, by the way, she told me about, and I was able to help this organization by giving them sponsor them for a conference. But I was given the floor there, and I recognized her in that moment because she is the reason that I was there in that moment. And for me, it is about taking the piece of power that I have and making sure that she knows that that power is also hers, right? And that I don't get to where I am without her. And so I like to do that regularly. It's just making sure that the people who get you to wherever it is that you're going understand how much power they have and how much they've helped in everything that they do.
I think to piggyback off of what you're saying, the easy answer that I think Cadie and I could give is, the butterfly effect we're creating is through the media that we're creating, right? Just sharing the stories. But really, why do we do that? And even when I was early in my career, I was very lucky that I had people that always was willing to help me. I think that was kind of the beauty of the community that we have, is there was always someone that would sit down with you and have coffee, always someone who would say, answer any questions you had about a job, or bring you into a meeting that maybe you weren't qualified for. And even early on, when I was like a junior, whatever, at any company, the first thing I always thought of was, I can't wait till I get, I can be senior enough where I can start mentoring and I can start giving back. Because I didn't feel like I could do that as a junior person, which is a falsity, by the way. You can do that even when you're junior. And I think the greatest gift that any of us can give is our time. It's not our money. It's not. It really is our time and knowledge. That is the greatest gift that we can give. And spending, whether it's a quick phone call or a Zoom call, or meeting someone early before work for a coffee, or inviting them to your house for dinner with your family, and bringing a young woman in and sharing the knowledge that they want from you, sharing that with them, I think that is the greatest gift, and will create a butterfly effect, because you doing that for them, they will absolutely want to continue to do that when they get that chance. So,
well, I've been the recipient of so many versions of the butterfly effect, so it's hard to pinpoint one, but I'm gonna do two, and then I'm gonna give a way to think about how to do it for yourself. So the first one is my mother. She was an immigrant, raised kids, didn't have phones, she had to cook dinner every night, she had to clean up. My dad was much more of that traditional, I go to work, I come home, and I go to work, and I come home, and I go to work, and I come home. And my mom was like, I go to work, I come home, I give a bath, I do this, I do that, I do homework, I do that, I pick them up, I drop them off, I clean their snotty noses, and, the list goes on and on and on, right? And my mother was hard on me. When I grew up in a place where there weren't that many people that looked like me, one day I came home and I was upset and standing in the garage crying. My mom opened the door, as any mom at that time does, like, why isn't she home? It's time, right? She opens the door, she sees me crying, and she goes, what's wrong? And I'm waiting for that woman to come out here, give me a hug, wipe my nose. She looks at me, and I start to babble something, and her mind already knew what I was going to say. She goes, when you're done, you can come inside. And until then, stay exactly where you are. Shut the door, went about her business. I still actually remember every portion of that experience. Most of it was, she's evil. She's such a witch. Like, how did I end up with this? What did I, But then when I came inside, she basically said to me, you need to figure out how you're going to solve your own problems. I won't go into how I did that. If you ever want to hear, you can listen to the Iron Butterfly podcast, and you'll hear what I did. But I think I said what I did. But she taught me how to take my position in life and make the best of it. And to this day, it resides as that most fundamental flame inside me. It is exactly what makes me gritty, what makes me want to choose to say, try me. I'm not the one. And it started when I was this big. So if you think at this age, you're going to knock me down, you're not. So let's go, right? So it started then. And so not necessarily, you have to sometimes look around you and say, is it or is it not good? Sometimes what you think isn't might actually be, and that started with my mom. The second one I'm going to tell you is one that I deal with today in my life. And the person who affords and gives me, I shouldn't say affords, but really enables that butterfly effect for me is my husband. He's like all about Anjuma, right? When it comes to, when either my mom or my mother-in-law or culturally, someone will say, well, what's for dinner? What's for this? My husband's actually the first person who'll stand up and be like, we'll figure it out. And that, there's no way to escape motherhood, right? There's not, I don't, although mine is actually really nice.
Mine's great too.
But yeah. I think, us viewing everything is going to be 50-50. It's just not going to happen. There's a motherly instinct. Even if my husband wanted to do something, I'm still going to do it because there's a thread, right? There's a thread there that doesn't allow you to. But the fact that someone makes you feel like it's going to be okay, and it's okay to not be okay, is in its own way a massive butterfly effect.
I love that.
The way that I would think about doing your own, and it's kind of come up in these stories, ask yourself, what would you want somebody to do for you? It's really honestly just that simple. If I didn't have a job, what would I want someone to do for me? If I was going in the wrong direction, saying the wrong things, conducting myself in the wrong way, what would I want someone to do for me? And it will literally give you what you need to do for somebody else and how you get to that next, how you give someone that butterfly effect. So you can do it all the time. When she said she didn't have a job, I said, oh, and then we had to start, and I said, okay, we'll talk later.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do anything, but I know that I would want someone to ask me, maybe, what can I do? How can I help? It's really honestly that simple.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
So I think the last example I'll share will be a nice segue into our trailer, which we're about to show. But as Megan said, we're both storytellers, right? We're documentarians. And I think what I have learned through that process is that we have this big vision. Like, we spend hours storyboarding of like, this is really the story we want to tell. This is where we want this to go. But when you're actually in the room and sitting across from someone, asking them their story, you can't exert control over the story that they're telling. Like, at the end of the day, it's their story. And so storytelling to me is like one of the most beautiful ways to share power, because you're writing the story together in a way that neither of you alone can predict, right? Like, the story is its own organism that's like growing and being nurtured by both of you together. And that was one of the most rewarding parts of the filmmaking process. It's rewarding every time we record a podcast. And we're excited to share a little piece of that with you.
So before I do that, I just want to raise your hand because we have quite a few Iron Butterflies or people who work with Iron Butterfly in this audience. And it means so much. So if you are an Iron Butterfly, have worked with Iron Butterfly, have made art for Iron Butterfly, raise your hand. All right. Well,
What's up with the crowns in the back? I can't see it, but
oh, woo-hoo! Nice. Thanks for calling. Yeah. Thank you for sitting with us. We feel honored. We feel honored. Yeah. Stephanie's like, I want to cry. Okay, so this is the trailer. Just so you know, so we are finished with this documentary. It is going to premiere in March during Women's History Month, March 6th to be exact. I don't know where you can buy tickets yet, otherwise I tell you. We're working on it. But the movie is, the documentary is called The Power We Hold, The Power We Hold, Stories from Women Spies. And so here's a quick look. You see it?
Successful women are often made to feel weird.
Okay, so how much time do we have, Kate? Okay, great. So we have 5 minutes for any questions. Or if you have a loud voice, just,
Okay. Hello. Yes. So first of all, thank you so much. This is my first time here. Politics is me. When I saw power, I said, I've got to be at this session. Now, I fully embrace what you said. And it's by no surprise it's coming from the intelligence community, because my master's is in intelligence. So this is my question to you, and I want you to speak very firmly to us. This is the time for women. If we don't take control, more is going to happen, and it's going to escalate to a point whereby I don't know what's going to happen. Speak to us, because many of us have on men's clothing. We need to put it aside and be who we are, but we need encouragement, because we're at the bottom. So much has been done to us. Power is the ability to get people to do what you want. We have to get the men to do what we want. How do we do that? How do we start from now? At least Senator Warner brought us together. So, you started the ball rolling. Talk to us. Leave nothing. Like your mom told you when you got it together, talk to us that way. Thank you.
Love that question. I'm happy to start. I think there's this idea today, because of the models that we have, that power is perverse. And power does not have to be perverse. So I guess I would say at the most basic level, showing people that there is an alternative to perversity is huge. And that's part of the reason why we're telling the stories that we are. I think another thing is what we're seeing right now is this shift towards this authoritarian model of power. And I don't just mean that in the government sense. I mean that in organizations or any system, right? And what authoritarianism demands is conformity. And for everyone to look the same and to believe the same things and to say the same things. And I think for us, what it means to challenge that is to offer, honestly, a democratic version of power that's rooted in diversity and our divergence from one another, right? And so I think the more we can go into systems, go into communities and invite that divergence, like invite people who don't look like us, who don't believe the same things that we believe, I think that's honestly what it means to be pro-democracy today, and how we can use our power as women to do that.
I just want to say, it starts with just the people around you, right? When we started our company, so many people told us we were crazy to go into business together. We have a 50-50 partnership. I would say 99.9% men and women told us not to do it. And we're here today to say that's insane. It is better because we're doing it together. It is two heads instead of one. And forget that, we have a whole team. We have 8 people. 8 people's heads are better than one. And it starts with just the people around you. The reason why this works for us is because she lets me be exactly who I am. I never have to pretend if I have an emotion. I never have to pretend if I'm upset. If I'm having a bad day and I can't do any work, I call her and I say, I feel like shit. I just need a day, and I don't feel judged. So it starts with just the women and the people around you. And then having them know that, like, you can be yourself. You can act yourself. You can say what you want to say. You can feel how you want to feel. And then they start feeling that way. And then they bring that to wherever they are.
I'll say 2 things. I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Katie said. Be who you are. We don't have to have a shared perspective in order to have power as women. I am different from her. She's different from me. That authenticity is really important. And sometimes I think we try to Katie's point, we try to just be one thing. Invite divergence in your way of thinking and your perspectives. Include people in a conversation that you want to share your perspective with. When I went to law school, one of the guys that I first met said, "Oh, the thing that I know, the way that I learned everything I know about Indian people was through Bart Simpson." I was like, "Oh my God, are you serious? We're in law school. We're in law school." But I had to invite that level of divergence, and he ended up marrying an Indian woman, which is really kind of fascinating. So I would encourage you to invite a significant amount of divergence to your space and not include the same people who think the same way to just build a louder voice. It's not going to help you. It doesn't change anything to like have two people say, yeah, and it just like, what's the point? You're just feeding each other. Feed somebody else a perspective, and then feed somebody else that you think is like you or has claimed to be just like you. Be willing to be authentic and say, I don't necessarily agree with that.
You want to go to the next? There was was there one in the back? If not, okay, we'll go here, and then we have here. Oh, someone's standing. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
we'll let you go first because you're standing, and then we'll go back there.
Good morning. Once again, thank you for being, okay, great. I'm not going to go first again. Great point about being who you are. I definitely appreciate that, and we need to say that more to each other and to ourselves in the morning. Thank you for that. As someone who's been told don't be so much of that. At any rate.
They were wrong, by the way.
Yes, absolutely, every day.
Or they were afraid.
There is. So when it comes to power, and we've talked about how power, in my opinion, is neither positive nor negative. It is how you present it. Can you talk maybe give 1 or 2 points of how, like leadership, it's a tool, and you've got a toolbox full of all these little things you can do to apply power to different situations, where there's some situation where you need to be authoritarian, sure, but there's other opportunities where you need to step back and give folks the room to do what they need to do. Is there any lesson that you've learned to this point where you had to apply power differently based on the situation?
So I think for most of us, our childhood is where we start with a lot of things, right? You know, Stephanie commented about hers. I'm going to give a story about that, about the power of leadership that I learned when I was probably 10 or 12. My father was, I distinctively remember a series of time when he was very, very stressed, and I was young. And I didn't necessarily understand exactly what was going on, but I knew he was upset and he was stressed. And I said to him, Dad, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay, right? And he said to me, I am not worried about us. I'm worried about the 100 people that work for the company. It never left me, ever. Because I think, and I tell people today, when you supervising someone, leading a team is a privilege, not a right. If you really think about it, you have the opportunity to impact every single thing about their life, from what they can feed their kids, from whether or not they go on a vacation, their ability to go see an elderly parent, the opportunity to take a break if they have health issues. Every single part of their life is influenced by the relationship and the power you hold as a leader over them. I learned that lesson at 10, and it is, if there's that thing that would cause me to let someone go, just like that, it's that you decided to use your privilege of being a leader as an opportunity to negatively or inappropriately influence, positive or negative. I'm going to give this one a raise because I really like them. I'm not going to give it, right, positively or negatively, that has an impact. And I think it doesn't actually matter whether it's at work or otherwise in your church, in your grocery store, in your HOA, it doesn't actually matter where that opportunity and that privilege is to lead. Use it with an incredible sense of grace and humility. And if everybody did just a little bit of that, we wouldn't have as many of the issues that we do have today.
I'm going to be very quick. I know intimately that Iron Butterfly is working to compound the butterfly effect. And so I'm going to ask a self-serving question. What do you need? And if I'm in the audience, how do I help you do that butterfly effect?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know what we need? we need you all to be who you are, be authentic, go out and take what you've heard today and be who you all are. Self-servingly, we need you to follow us. So take out your phone, and we are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. Every follow, every like, every comment matters, and that's true for any person that you're following that you enjoy. It does matter. Every like, every follow.
I would also add, we have, Megan mentioned our screenings that are coming up in March. So if you have a company, if you own a company that's interested in participating in that in some way, please come talk to us after. I would also say, just as a quick, we were doing this analysis the other day. So we raised through crowdfunding over $200,000 for this documentary, which is in the independent filmmaking community very, very rare. And the only reason we were able to do that is because of the women in our community. 70% of those dollars came from women. And so the one thing that I have taken from in my own life is I will never pass a fundraiser online from a woman or a women-owned business without giving something. That can be $5. So I just encourage all of you, when you see that, like, men do this for each other all the time, very well. And we need to be better about doing that for each other as women.
Stephanie.
No, I think that's it.
No, you need a job.
Oh, sorry.
Talk to her afterwards.
I don't expect their question.
Yeah. Oh, no, we have to,
Oh,
unfortunately. Oh. That, yeah.
Thank you all so much. Seriously, it's filled my cup. I did not expect this to be as awesome as it was. And I had high expectations. So thank you so much. And thank you for the questions and the participation. We're going to reset here in a few minutes. So you're welcome to stay for women and e-commerce. But can we give our panelists a huge round? We'll see you back in here at 11.
Good job.